you, Representative Davis. Both Representative Wiley and Representative Sarah Davis are, I want to say, on the Appropriations Committee. And then State Senator Sylvia Garcia, of course, when you're over in the Senate, everybody's on the Finance Committee over there. So, and so I want to thank the representatives of the local legislative delegation for joining me here today. This pile of tires is ground zero in our fight against the Zika virus. We have to get these illegal dump sites cleaned up, and we need the state of Texas to help us by declaring the Zika virus a public health emergency and dedicating funds towards local efforts to fight it. So primarily the focus of this is basically to declare the Zika virus a public health emergency. With all of the flooding that is taking place in the region, it certainly has reached that status. Specifically, I'm requesting assistance from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality Solid Waste Disposal fee account, which currently has a balance of $130 million. Under changes made by the legislature in 2007, this fund may be used for an immediate response to or remediation of an emergency that involves solid waste. Since February, the City of Houston Solid Waste Department has been cleaning up illegal dump sites to help reduce mosquito breeding grounds and combat the spread of Zika. They have already hauled 3,000 tons of debris and removed more than 19,000 tires. The effort is expected to cost about $3.6 million this year. With additional funding, the city could purchase new equipment to increase the frequency of these neighborhood sweeps beyond the weekends, develop and distribute educational materials informing residents of proper and free disposal options, and establish 3 additional heavy trash drop-off locations. In fact, I met a couple of neighbors. Where are they? Are they still here? These are 2 individuals who live right in this area. And they came up to me saying that the mosquitoes out here are just horrendous, that they've taken initiatives to just kind of do some spraying even in their ditches, because they said in the evening times they are just being swamped by mosquitoes. And so they just walked down. They were not invited as part of this press conference, but walked down to express their concerns, and I want to thank you for being here. Zika is spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is found in Houston and Southeast Texas. Infection during pregnancy causes microcephaly and other brain malfunctions in some babies. Infections in adults have been linked to Guillain Barré syndrome. The city has launched a multi-pronged approach to fighting the Zika virus. In addition to the neighborhood trash sweeps, there are educational announcements at the airports, on public transit, in city water bills, and on local TV. The health department is going door to door to distribute insect repellent in underserved neighborhoods, and the city's regional public health laboratory is supporting local hospitals and clinics with Zika infection testing. Now that mosquito season is here, residents need to be vigilant about protecting themselves from being bitten. Follow the 3 Ds of mosquito defense: drain, dress, and deet. Drain standing water on your property and keep hedges trimmed. Dress in long pants and long sleeves. Keep windows and screens repaired, and use air conditioning. When outside, spray exposed skin with mosquito repellent containing DEET. Reapply as necessary, and use netting to protect babies in strollers or car seats. But the primary purpose of today is to indicate that with all of the flooding, all of the rainfall in our area, that this is just a state of emergency. What we don't want to do, we don't want to wait like we did with AIDS and HIV, assuming that it impacted people on the other side of the globe, and we were slow to respond, and then it became a global epidemic. We want to get out in front, and certainly the state of Texas has with TCEQ, has a solid waste disposal fee account, and there's $130 million there, and it could help to expedite our efforts in education and prevention of the Zika virus. There are no greater partners than the Texas legislature and the people that are standing here that are more than capable of helping to make that happen. And I want to stop now and call on State Senator Sylvia Garcia for her comments. Thank you, Senator, for being here.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm pleased to be here this afternoon joining the Mayor and my colleagues, Representative Davis, Representative Wally, on this very critical event. It is important that we send a strong message to Austin that these dollars are there. These dollars are needed, and by definition, we can call this an emergency. You know, an emergency is not always just the acts of God of the water and the floods. It's also medical emergencies. It's also about things that we can use more prevention about. So we can get those dollars, we can do more work to ensure that we don't have the Zika virus here in Houston. If you can see right behind you, there is trash, a lot of trash. There's probably some water standing there somewhere. Those are the things that attract mosquitoes. So we need to make sure that everyone knows that protecting our neighborhoods is our #1 priority in the city of Houston and throughout Harris County. You can call 311 to report any illegal dumping. You can call 311 to come help clean up some of the areas around the drainage areas. And working with my colleagues, and I'm pleased to say that Senator Ellis and Senator Whitmire, like me, joined in writing a letter to make sure that the state leadership knows that we support Mayor Turner in trying to get these dollars here home to do more work to prevent the Zika virus. Now for my friends that speak a little Spanish, es muy importante que sepan que es muy peligroso tener muchas cosas abiertas donde se puede acumular la agua, porque entonces puede ser muy atractivo para los mosquitos y para cosas que tienen el Zika virus. Así es que por favor llamen a 311 si necesitan ayuda para limpiar la basura que está puesta a llegar. Otra vez 311, pero si vive en el condado o una área de otra ciudad, le llama a esa ciudad o le llama al condado. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and very much appreciate that. I also want to call on now State Representative Amanda Wiley, whose district we are standing. State Representative Amanda Wiley.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to address this issue, particularly of the Zika virus, because one word is very prevalent in all of this, and that's prevention. We have the cost of solid waste, picking up a lot of these tires, a lot of the debris removal processes is costing between $3 and $4 million. And we know, according to recent reports, that one infection, one child that is infected with Zika virus, those medical costs run in the millions, into up to $10 million for the medical care, the medical costs for that child. So we think that it's important that the legislature, Representative Sarah Davis and I are both members of the Appropriations Committee, where the budget is hashed out. These are one item in the budget process that is vital to the emergency needs of the city of Houston, let alone to our municipality, but other municipalities. But we know that the amount of rain that Houston had received and the heat that now those rains have diminished for today, we see the heat starting to bear down on us, and that's just a breeding ground for standing water for mosquitoes to proliferate the Houston area. And so prevention is very, very important. En español, mi abuelita siempre ha dicho que es mejor prevenir que lamentar. Es importante tener, y los urge a los líderes del estado de Texas en recordar estos fondos que ya están ahí. Hay más de 100 millones de dólares que están en este fondo. Entonces para nosotros es importante traer esos fondos aquí para la ciudad de Houston para que ellos puedan utilizarlos en levantar toda esta basura pesada que está aquí. Thank you to the mayor and my colleagues. Appreciate you being here, particularly in our district. As you can see, we have tons of ditches in our neighborhood. We're hoping to soon turn some of these ditches into actually paved walking streets and walking sidewalks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, State Representative Amanda Wiley. And really, the essence of this is a strong bipartisan effort. I failed to acknowledge at the very beginning, Representative Dan Huberty could not be here. He represents that Kingwood, Humboldt area, and is in full support of the effort. And then now I want to call on State Representative Sarah Davis. She and I served on the conference committee on the appropriation process when I was in the legislature last session. And Representative Sarah Davis is here as well. So Representative Davis.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and to my colleagues that are here. I'm happy to join you. With a tropical climate and pockets of poverty, Houston is really ground zero for neglected tropical diseases such as the Zika virus. In fact, 1/3 of all cases in Texas of Zika are here in Harris County. But the good news is that Houston can also be ground zero for solutions. I am here to stand with my colleagues to urge the TCEQ to favorably consider our mayor's request for funding for the removal of the illegal dumping that you see all around us. And as the mayor mentioned, this is a bipartisan request from almost all of the Houston area leaders. I also would like to take this time to encourage the Health and Human Services Commission and the Department of State Health Services to expedite the implementation of legislation that I passed last session, which is House Bill 2055, which creates a sentinel surveillance system to monitor the incidence, prevalence, and trends of emerging and neglected tropical diseases like Zika. This would assist in the follow-up efforts of the organizations like the City of Houston's Health Department to identify disease vectors. In fact, the city's health department is actually the CDC lab for 17 surrounding counties that will be conducting the testing for Zika-related cases. As the mayor has mentioned, the flooding has affected communities all across Harris County and is widespread, including a community that I represent, the community of Meyerland. Many residents of Meyerland have been flooded out of their homes twice in less than a year. And although illegal dumping is not a specific problem in Meyerland, there is no net around Meyerland or any community in Houston for that matter that can protect us from disease-carrying mosquitoes. And the breeding grounds must be eliminated wherever they occur. Recently, Dr. Peter Hotez testified in the Senate Health and Services Committee that abating illegal dump sites and door-to-door work are the most effective ways that we can mitigate the threat of Zika. So I'm here to say that the conservative approach is using existing resources, and with the TCEQ, that's going to be the right approach, because the long-term consequences of doing nothing will be huge. The medical expenses alone for children infected will be staggering in the millions per child. So the fiscally conservative thing to do, the fiscally conservative move to make right now, is to spend funds on prevention.
I want to thank Representative Sarah Davis and State Senator Sylvia Garcia and State Representative Amanda Owale. I know State Representative Sophronia Thompson was scheduled to be here, and I think she may not be that far away. But let me just say to you the importance of this. I know the President has asked for about $1.9 billion. The United States Senate approved a measure for about $1.1 billion, and then the United States House Representative approved a measure for $620 million. But we don't know when those dollars are going to be coming and when they're going to finalize that. The reality is that within the legislative coffers at the state level is $130 million in TCEQ solid waste account. And based on the measure that was passed in 2007, we can tap into that right now. And so we need the dollars right now. We're operating within the city within our financial means, but this is 640 square miles, and there's a lot of debris, a lot of tires, a lot of containers that can hold water that need to be removed. And this is a health hazard situation right now, and we need to stay out in front of it and not wait until things get considerably worse right here within our region. And then I am proud to say that this initiative, this request, has strong bipartisan support from most people from the Harris County Legislative Delegation, and I really appreciate their support. Let me call on State Representative Sophronia Thompson, the Dean of the Texas House, and we're in the northeast part of the city.
Well, I'm here to join the crowd in making sure that we make our citizens aware of the magnitude of the problem. And while we don't have our hand on the scale, I want to say that dumping is a serious problem within our area. We want to be sure to do something about it because we don't want the breathing of mosquitoes that's going to impair the health of pregnant women and our citizens. And in addition to that, it also impairs the health of those persons who have respiratory problems. I am happy to say, Mayor, that the delegation is joining on to the letter that we are sending to the governor to let him know the magnitude of the problem, the seriousness of the problem, and the things that we believe that he can do to help to enhance our ability to be able to fight this problem. I live in an area where illegal dumping happens all the time. When people come and throw tires and mattresses and old furniture and old building materials in your neighborhood, and it causes the breathing of rodents and mosquitoes. And we would like to do something about it, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it costs all of us in taxes and low property values and the inability for people to move into neighborhoods and build it back up.